It's actually incredibly easy to block misogynistic trolls online when you realize that they don't have an original thought between them, and if you just mute and block certain words that they parrot all the time, then you will not have to hear from them again. Here's a handy list of words to block if you want to be able to effectively silence a lot of the misogynists online. First up is womp womp. You absolutely have seen this around. This is meant to be a verbal representation of the sad trumpet sound. It's like womp womp, you tried but you failed. The reason that it comes up so much in feminist content is because somewhere in the manosphere, and I don't know where, men have latched onto this as a key term to post underneath the content of feminist creators and anyone who's calling out patriarchy or misogyny. It's meant to humiliate women and make them look like their content has failed, but all it really shows is that we have struck a nerve and they don't have a better argument or any kind of cogent argument to make against whatever point you're making, so all they say is womp womp. And if you block this phrase together along with the single word womp, you will be reducing your misogynistic comment load by 85%. I told you, they don't have an original thought between them. Next up is debunked. This is often used when talking about the gender pay gap, and men who have never done a single piece of research into the pay gap in their whole life will say the gender pay gap has been debunked. This is because they have heard other Manosphere content creators say that the pay gap has been debunked without providing any evidence, because they heard other creators say that the pay gap has been debunked, because those creators heard that the pay gap has been debunked. It has not. The pay gap is very much alive, well, easy to prove, easy to source. I know that if you block the word debunked, you're going to lose some other comments that may be talking about other things, but in my opinion, it's worth it to lose these particular comments. Next one is ran through. Maybe this is obvious, but ran through is a reference to having had too many sexual partners. It only applies to women, and it's one of the things that misogynists and MRAs say about particular women if they are trying to indicate that we have lowered our value by having had too many partners. So we are basically like a used up old t-shirt. We are ran through. So block this word, but if you think of other slut-shamey type words, block them too, because it's usually only misogynists who use them. Also, foid, it's short for femoid, and it's something that only the deepest incel misogynists use. It is a way to dehumanize and depersonalize women and talk about them as though they are a sort of an android. It's an objectification of women that comes from the side of the incel manosphere that believe that men are entitled to women's attention, that women tend to not go for them because they're only interested in chads because women are brainless and stupid. They're femoids. They have no value except the value you assign to them. This is a disgusting, hateful word that you're never going to see in any other context but the manosphere, so you're not going to lose anything by blocking it. I would also just go ahead and block cat lady, just because it's only misogynistic men who ever really use that term. The only people you're going to lose in blocking this term is women who are mocking the fact that men call us cat ladies if we choose not to devote our life to the unpaid service of men. Hopefully those women will come back and make another comment that isn't blocked. The MRAs on YouTube like to make reference to box wine. For some reason, this hasn't come across to TikTok and Instagram, which goes to show you that little cultures and collectives of Manosphere on particular platforms are just parroting phrases that they have heard from specific creators, and none of them has actually done any of their own intelligent, original thought into it. Box wine is usually used in the context of you're going to end up a cat lady with your box wine. Frankly, while I love wine, I'm too sophisticated for box wine, so I'm going to go ahead and block that term. And then the other one you might want to consider blocking is delusional and delulu, only because men often say this to feminists and women talking about women's issues online. They love to say that we're delusional about what's actually happening and that we're basically wrong, even though we are always able to back ourselves up with sources. You will lose some funny comments of people maybe making fun of themselves for being delulu if you block this, but again, I think the risk is worth it. So there you go, block this full list, mute these words in your comments, mute them in your inbox, and you're going to have a much more peaceful life talking about women's issues on the internet.